The movie starts with someone riding a bicycle and recording a vlog in Minnesota's Sand Dunes State Forest, recounting the case of Tommy from 4 years ago. On August 11th, 2021, authorities found the body of the 16-year-old boy in a pond after he had been missing for 6 months. His face was completely ripped off, and the autopsy report blamed local wildlife like foxes or birds. This leaves the vlogger suspicious. He wonders why only the face was targeted and not the rest of the body, especially since he has been hearing strange noises that lead him to believe something else is lurking in the woods. He has set up trail cameras all over the area, determined to uncover who or what really tore Tommy's face off. He refuses to believe this was an ordinary animal attack, convinced by online photos and his own investigation that it is something far more sinister and uncharted. After asking his viewers to subscribe to his channel, the scene shifts. We see Alice making love with her husband, Charlie. Alice asks Charlie if he was being careful, to which Charlie replies that since Alice has an IUD, she does not need to worry about pregnancy. Next, we see Alice going to work without informing Charlie. Her coworker tells her that the dog has eaten its puppies and is highly aggressive. Alice tries to calm the dog, but it suddenly attacks her. Before the dog can bite her face, it is shot and killed by her coworker. Then, we see Alice receive a phone call, through which we learn that her mother has died. Alice takes a flight to Minneapolis and goes directly to the police station. There, she is told that her mother's body was found by some kids a week ago and that her mother suffered from dilated cardiomyopathy. Alice asks the officer if she can see the body, but the officer refuses, telling her that there are a lot of wild animals in the area and that seeing her mother's body is not a good idea yet. Alice goes back to her home. On her way, a drone hits her car. A camera records her as soon as she enters the house. The security alarm goes off, annoying Alice. She hits the security screen, and the alarm stops. She calls the security company that installed the alarm, and they fix it. The technician who repairs it recognizes Alice from her school days and tells her that she was the prom queen. Later, Alice informs Charlie about her mother's death. Charlie is surprised because he did not even know she had a mother. While Alice is outside on the swing, something watches her from inside the house. Alice gets back to her car, but she cannot open the door, so she gets back inside the house. However, she cannot find her car keys. She calls the car company, and they tell her that they will send a duplicate key on Thursday. She tries to open the car door with a knife, but she fails. While trying, she falls to the ground and sees a dead fox. Inside, she reschedules her flight to Washington, D.C. for 2 days later. In the next scene, we see Alice sleeping on her couch while watching TV. It is midnight when something wakes her up. Alice hears a noise coming from the staircase leading upstairs. She goes upstairs and is surprised to see that the clothes she had put in the washing machine have been torn apart. While she is looking at them, the security alarm goes off, which usually means there is a security breach. She checks the premises, but she sees nothing. She goes through her mother's room and wardrobe, and then she relaxes on the bed. That is where she finds a small hatch in the ceiling. She opens it and discovers a collection of items from her high school days. She looks through everything, from old photos to sketches of a rugby player, and finds a digital diary. In the next scene, while listening to a video message from Charlie, she hears a noise coming from the attic. She goes up to check and sees a mouse, assuming that was the cause of the noise. However, we see an unknown figure hiding up there. Later, Alice goes through her mother's large collection of VHS tapes. She watches one video where her mother is telling her to say that she is beautiful. As Alice says it, her mother repeatedly scolds her, demanding that she say the words with beauty and confidence. From this, we get a clear idea that Alice and her mother were not on good terms. As Alice is watching the tape, her doorbell rings. It is a woman who looked after her mother's yard, coming to offer her condolences. She also asks Alice to take off her boots, mentioning that her mother never liked boots inside the house. Alice invites her inside, and while Alice goes upstairs to put on her shoes, we hear the woman saying that something feels off about the house. She tells Alice that she should not stay there long and urges her to leave as soon as possible. However, before Alice can return downstairs, the woman has already left. As Alice tries to go back inside, someone locks the door from the inside, trapping her outdoors. Since it is raining, Alice takes shelter in the indoor swimming pool area. When the rain stops, she hears a high-pitched beep. Searching around, She finds her mother's dog leash and notices footprints from some sort of animal. As Alice starts taking photos of the tracks, a drone suddenly flies just above her head and disappears behind the house. She follows it and sees a man wearing a face mask retrieving the drone. The man tells Alice to cover her face before riding off on his bicycle. In the next scene, Alice uses the scanner attached to the dog leash to unlock and enter the house. She then vomits, causing her to suspect she might be pregnant. Alice asks her phone's AI about methods to test for pregnancy. The AI tells her to mix her urine with baking soda. If it fizzes after 30 minutes, it indicates pregnancy. While waiting for the result, Alice sends the footprint photos to her coworker to identify the animal. After 30 minutes, the test result turns out to be negative. In the next scene, we see Alice having a good time alone. She gets quite drunk and puts on her prom dress, which she last wore in 1999. She goes to the empty swimming pool and has a breakdown. She confesses to Charlie that the screaming sounds she heard during her teenage years were real, not just dreams, even though her mother tried to convince her otherwise. This was the reason she left and never came back. She also tells Charlie that she is pregnant. Charlie gets excited and tells Alice to stay put in the house while he takes the next flight to join her. Meanwhile, we see a shadowy figure watching Alice before it disappears. Then, she hears a noise coming from the woods again. Upon checking, she sees an animal-like figure. She rushes back inside, locks the door, and reviews the footage on her cracked screen to see what it was. When she enters the house, a VHS tape of her mother and her teenage self is playing. In the video, her mother is getting angry because Alice is gaining weight, a very traumatic memory from Alice's youth. Watching this tape makes Alice relive that trauma out of anger, so she pulls out the VHS tape and destroys it. Overcome with grief, Alice falls asleep. The next morning, we see an unknown person steal the phone from Alice's hand. At the same time, the security guard arrives. As Alice gets ready to open the door to let the guard in, she discovers that her house keys are missing. She is also surprised and terrified to see that all the VHS tapes have been neatly arranged in a row. Alice realizes that someone is inside the house. Suddenly, the house's automated security system activates. Alice frantically searches for her phone. As soon as she finds it, she points the camera toward the door where a sound is coming from and sees a horrifying figure. She runs and hides inside her mother's car. The creature attacks her, but Alice manages to drive through the house and escape. She crashes the car into a tree and flees into the woods on foot. While crossing a fence, her hand gets severely injured. The same drone appears again, followed by the masked guy on the bicycle, who warns her to run and hide her face. Alice tries to stop her and follows the guy to a bunker-like structure. She opens the bunker and hears a woman inside screaming that she wants to go home. Alice steps inside the bunker, only to realize she has been trapped as the man locks her inside. Upon locking the door, the guy told Alice that she was safe inside and didn't have to worry. The guy mentioned that he had to go home, but promised to return later. Left alone in the bunker, Alice tended to her injured finger and stumbled upon a journal containing details of missing persons, as well as pictures of dead animals. Crucially, two patterns stood out. The faces of all the missing individuals were ripped off, and the animals were missing their heads. She also discovered a network of hidden cameras set up throughout the woods. While monitoring the live camera feed, she caught a glimpse of something unsettling. She saw Charlie standing outside her house. Soon after, the door opened, and Charlie walked inside. Suddenly, the guy who had locked Alice inside contacted her over the radio. He promised to help Alice return to her house, but only on one condition. Alice had to use her night vision camera to photograph the creature. Explained that she had been pursuing this creature for the past 2 years and desperately needed proof. After helping Alice sneak back into her house, Alice immediately ran upstairs to find Charlie. However, she found Charlie severely injured. He had been bitten viciously, likely by some sort of wild animal. Just then, the lights went out. The girl radioed Alice with a frantic warning. Under no circumstances should she reveal her face to the creature or use a flashlight. As Alice attempted to record the entity using her night vision camera, the battery suddenly died. In panic, Alice turned on her phone's flashlight. The moment the light illuminated the creature, it attacked. Alice was thrown to the floor with the creature looming directly over her, reaching toward her face. At that critical moment, the police arrived. Later, while the police investigated the scene and removed Charlie's body, Alice played a VHS tape. This led to one of the most horrifying scenes in the movie. The tape, dated September 14, 1999, showed Alice's mother instructing her to stay completely still and not move. Young Alice then began bleeding heavily and passed out. Her mother proceeded to cut open her clothes, revealing a swollen stomach that looked like that of a pregnant woman. In a terrifying act, her mother began repeatedly striking the unconscious young girl's stomach, forcing a horrific delivery while Alice remained knocked out. The disturbing contents of the VHS tape left everyone in the room, from the investigating officers to Alice herself, in complete shock. We see that Alice has been taken to the hospital. While everyone is away, the masked man gets inside the house. If you remember from the beginning of the movie, we saw a random guy in a mask making a video about the recent attacks on that lake. It turns out this was the same guy all along. We learn that he has been there for the last 2 years, researching, examining, and analyzing the creature. Now he goes down into the basement and finds a small, locked room. It appears to be lined with soundproof walls and is filled with dolls whose faces have been ripped off. Meanwhile, at the hospital, an emergency alarm goes off. Alice gets out of bed, walks to the washroom, and finds her digital voice recorder toy, where the truth is finally revealed. The ending explained. The final twist reveals that the monster is actually Alice's son, a child she had as a teenager, but whose existence was erased from her memory through years of abuse and psychological manipulation by her controlling mother, Elena. Elena secretly hid the baby in an underground room instead of allowing Alice to raise him. The boy grew up isolated, neglected, and treated like something shameful rather than human. Why does he wear a mask and attack people? Years of confinement and abuse left him deeply traumatized. He became unable to cope with normal human interaction and developed an obsession with faces, which explains the disturbing murders in the film. The monster isn't evil by nature. He's the tragic product of extreme abuse. What does other mean? One of the most important clues is the electronic toy displaying the word other. Alice realizes the letter M is missing. It was originally meant to spell mother. This symbolizes Alice's forgotten identity as a mother, her son's inability to truly know his mother, how Elena destroyed the relationship before it could exist. The final scene. When Alice finally sees the masked figure without his mask, she recognizes that he is her son. Instead of attacking her, he looks at her with longing and recognition. It's the first genuine connection between them. The horror transforms into tragedy. Both are victims of Elena's cruelty. Is the ending happy? Not really. It's bittersweet. Alice recovers the truth about her past. She reunites with the son she never knew she had. But her son has lived a horrific life and has killed multiple people, so there's no simple happy ending. The film suggests that while the truth has finally come out, the emotional damage can never be fully undone. And that's the ending explained. I hope you enjoyed the video and discovered something new. If you did, please consider leaving a like, dropping a comment with your thoughts or theories, and subscribing to the channel so you never miss our next movie breakdown, hidden details, and ending explained videos. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep watching, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next video.